Bim, 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 bro, comic book, flippity flap flap, bits of scripting and a lot of characters from the movies. A human throwing a shield, oh Asgard, and oh a guy with goggles, and a British person, a man with an iron hand. Marvel Studios, Marvel Studios, ooh, Marvel Studios.
So Thor Ragnarok came out back in November, and I just gotta say, this is insane. We are officially at the very end of the Avengers Infinity War challenge, where we only have Black Panther left, and then Avengers Infinity War is out in less than 2 weeks now. That is amazing to finally say. I am so excited. I know you guys are too. And when I went to go see Thor Ragnarok in theaters, it was a sold out crowd and it was a comedy, so there was tons and tons of laughter. And I do have a recording of that night, captured the audience reactions of the theater experience. It's really great. Linked below in the description is the theater experience channel. You can go check it out over there. If it's not up there yet, it's because I'm doing a re-edit because Disney copyright. You know, we've had problems on this channel about it with using the end credit scenes, but we are still using them, so you should go check that out. I'll try to link at the end of this video if it's not up already. It was an amazing time, and I'm happy to say Thor Ragnarok, even though it only just came out back in November, it's still very good. I know it's still very fresh, but wow, is it good. Like I said back with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in my review there, I said that and Thor Ragnarok have similar things where there's a lot more jokes this time around, but once you get past the jokes, because they would say like a common criticism, which is things aren't like flowing too well, like there'll be comedy like right after or right before a dramatic moment, but like I said in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, as soon as you get past that comedy moment, when you're used to it and you really sit down to watch the scene, there's so many dramatic moments that work so beautifully. Like, a lot of people said Korg's joke at the end of Thor Ragnarok with the destruction of Asgard took away from it, whereas I actually feel when you look at the whole thing, it is handled with a heavy heart, as well as Odin's death was very impactful more this time around. It wasn't so much the first time, but here it is. Thor and Loki going their separate ways in that elevator scene is beautiful, and one of my favorite scenes is when Black Widow appears on the hologram in the Quinjet, and Hulk sees it, and then he starts going back into Bruce Banner, and he's doing everything in his power trying to make himself angry to stay, and it's just handled so beautifully. It's very sad for Hulk, and scary for Bruce, and also happy for him at the same time because he's finally getting out, but also he's been Hulk for 2 years, and it's such a beautiful scene. And all the characters are great, of course. You know, Thor is great. He goes through a character change. He's a lot more comedic this time around, but it works very well. I think Taika Waititi did a great job. I mean, you heard that intro I did with his narration over the Marvel Studios logo, which is just hilarious every time. I love it. And also, Tessa Thompson's new character in here. She's great as Valkyrie. She rocks it. She rocks this role. I cannot wait to see her in Avengers Infinity War. Bruce Banner, Hulk did fantastic. Mark Ruffalo just knocks it out of the park. He is an incredible Hulk, and as we do know, I thought of this today while watching, and I wanted to go and pitch this to you guys. It's a big thing that Avengers 4's title is a big secret and kind of a spoiler, and they won't reveal it until after Infinity War, probably at San Diego Comic-Con in July. And we have a thing going on where Universal won't play nice and give Hulk a standalone film. So what's going on is they're going to be spreading basically a narrative of the Hulk throughout the course of 3 movies, which essentially would be Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers 4. And I just had that rattling around in my head, and you know what would be a big reveal title for Avengers 4? And it's probably not going to happen, but how would you guys feel if Avengers 4 was World War Hulk? I mean, wouldn't that just be insanely crazy? Maybe like what if Thanos like got all the gems, altered reality to such a weird state, and just the Earth is being destroyed by Hulk and everybody has to go against him? I think that would be really cool, honestly. It's probably not going to happen, but I just thought it was a cool idea. Also, let's go ahead and talk about Tom Hiddleston as Loki again. He probably the best performance he's ever given as Loki. I mean, he's great every time, but it's just so great to see him smile every time. That sinister smile Loki gives, it's perfect. And a lot of great brother dynamics between him and Thor. It's beautifully done. It's so perfect. Cate Blanchett is the villain this time as Hela, and I thought she was a really strong villain, I must say. It was an interesting idea going on, where she was pretty much indestructible, because majority of the film she's in Asgard, and that's where she gets all her power. And you see quite a few times she'll get stabbed or many other things, and what ends up happening is it just reappears. Like, her costume will grow back, her physical injuries will heal. It's just so cool to see. And overall, you do get her motivations. Like, she wants to rule not just the 9 realms, but every realm after that, because that's essentially what she was doing back when Odin had her around. It's how she was raised and how she believes things should be. You get her motivations. They are very clear. Also, you get Scourge, played by Carl Urban, who, you know, he's there mostly for funny business, and he does get a little redemption by the end, and he has a pretty good time with those machine guns, which, thinking about it, is kind of weird that machine guns can take down an undead army of Asgardians so easily, but it's whatever, it's fine, it's fun. And oh my god, I cannot stress how fun this film is, how funny it is. I was still, just watching on my own, I was laughing out loud quite a bit, especially almost every time that Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster was on screen. My god, it's the Jeff Goldblum we all have come to know, and it's just dialed up to 11. It's beautifully done. They put him in this world, and it's so great. I love it so much, and I know a lot of people did too. He did just an amazing job, and just the whole thing, the arena scene between Thor and Hulk. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff that goes down. And I could just go on hours and hours. I could make a commentary track for Thor Ragnarok, which I may end up doing in the future, of many different films, which sounds like a cool thing. Start doing live streams, wouldn't that be fun? I will go ahead and touch on some of my favorite scenes, which is every time they use Led Zeppelin. It was so beautiful. Like, the introduction of the film really got me amped back in the theater, and it still does. But when Thor harnesses his lightning powers, which were foreshadowed in Age of Ultron, which is awesome. I did talk about that in the Age of Ultron review. You should go check that out. It's so awesome. It's so badass. It's one of the best moments I've ever seen in a superhero film. It's not my favorite, but it's up there. It's so good. The whole ending battle is amazing. And it is also beautifully tragic in the same sense that they come to the realization that to stop Hela, they can't also save Asgard. Because she gets her power from Asgard, they ultimately have to destroy it. They have to fulfill Ragnarok, which I thought was a really good twist. It's not just you have to save this thing you're trying to protect. No, you have to destroy it. It's the only way to save everything else. You have to destroy your homeland. And I love the message that Asgard is not a place, it's its people, done so well. Which also, Heimdall is great, back played by Idris Elba. He's just so good. They're all so good. The Warriors 3 got taken out very easily, unfortunately. That does kind of suck, because we've gotten to know them in the past couple of films. I know there wasn't really any room for them to work in, but I can just say I'm glad there was scheduling conflicts with Jamie Alexander, who plays Lady Sif, because I have no doubt if she was there, she would have been killed too. So I'm glad that she's still out there, and I hope to see her in future stories. Before we get into the end credit scenes, I'm going to touch on one more scene, and it is going back to the beginning of the film, which is Odin's death. Now, I know a lot of people had a problem with it because it was a messy green screen, how it was essentially, the original stuff was shot in alleyways in New York City, and we've even seen concept art of that and leaked footage of a homeless Odin in New York City. But they changed it to Norway, which, oh yeah, let's go ahead. Also, I'll come back to this. Doctor Strange is in the movie. I'm so sorry, I completely forgot about that. Benedict Cumberbatch is back, and it really does feel like we're just getting very, very close to Infinity War. And I know we are, but it's like just seeing Thor and Doctor Strange in the same room is so beautiful. And I'd also kind of thought it was weird at first I actually thought it was funny at first, but it wasn't until upon rewatching that I felt it weird that Doctor Strange was kind of just like instantly teleporting from place to place. But then I kind of had an idea, thinking back to Doctor Strange, how he'll enter like the mirror dimension or other realms, and obviously you can see even when you're a human, because Christine sees the portal that he makes, But whenever they would like enter the mirror dimension and stuff, like nobody would take notice. And the only people who did were sorcerers. And here, Thor is not a sorcerer. So is it a thing where only sorcerers can see the way the sorcerers move in between different spaces of time, of reality and time and all that? Is that how it works? I mean, I would be cool if it was. It's not spelled out extremely clear. It's used for comedic effect. So that's something I leave to you guys. Let me know, what do you guys think? But it was just a really cool scene, and it's really funny how Loki just calls him like a second-rate sorcerer. But not at all. I'm sure he makes Loki very jealous, and it's just so great to see. But now that does lead us to Odin's death scene, and it is really beautiful because he sits him down to talk with him. Like, he even looks over to Loki and says, "Yeah, I broke away from your spell. Frida would have been proud." Like, he knows he's about to die, and he's not trying to start any conflict like he has in the past. He's just trying to reconcile and tell them the impending threat that they're going to have to face because he's about to leave. He's going to be gone in a few seconds, and he is. And you see the sadness and confusion. You see confusion, anger, and sadness in Thor's face. And you see a lot of sadness in Loki's face. Loki, who has been brought up and lied to by Odin and has caused Loki to go on so many different rampages throughout, in the first Thor, in the first Avengers, the Dark World even. Just all this stuff that he does was mainly fueled by Odin's lies, but he sees that his father is about to leave, his adopted father is about to die, and he feels sad. He actually cares about Odin. He really does. And that's what I loved about this film. It really showed the side, like, while Loki is a trickster a lot of the time and he's trying to get to where he wants to, he's kind of living in a slight denial, because as soon as Thor says, "Yeah, you should stick around, this is a perfect place for you," he instantly gets defensive, says, "You really think so little of me." And he does feel kind of bad that him and Thor would be splitting apart, because he really does care about his brother. In the first Thor film, he does care about his brother. It's beautiful to see it realized and Loki come full circle. And when he does show up at the end to help free Asgard, to help them escape, it's done very masterfully. I honestly believe, even by the end, you see so many times throughout that Thor is constantly throwing stuff at Loki to test if he's actually really there. And at the end, Thor's pouring himself a drink, and he throws the lid of the drink at Loki after saying, "Maybe you're not so bad. If you were here, I might even give you a hug." And Loki catches the lid, and he says, "I'm here." And it's beautiful. And even by the end, in the end credit scene, which I'll touch on in a second, it's just so good to see. I honestly believe Loki has become, throughout the course of the MCU, he's gone from villain to anti-hero. And I honestly feel like he may enter the realm of hero, and I honestly feel he might die in Avengers Infinity War. And if he does, I feel like, I mean like really die this time, because he's fake died twice. I think he might not only die in Infinity War, but I think he'll die a hero. And I think he'll protect Thor, help him out. Because the only shots we've seen of Loki in Infinity War have been on the ship where the end of Ragnarok took place. It's an interesting thing to think about. It's a full speculation to go there. But it's just interesting. I'm very excited to see where Loki goes, because of course he has to give the Tesseract, and he did get the Tesseract, we see it in the trailers for Infinity War, from Odin's vault. And he has to give that to Thanos, and we see Thanos does get it, and it's in the Infinity Gauntlet. So I don't think Loki's necessarily trying to join Thanos and destroy the universe. If he does, I feel like he might be playing them and trying to help out Thor in the long run. I honestly feel like Loki's a good guy. And I know that's always like the worst thing to assume, but I feel like he's gone a full arc at this point. And I'm very excited to see where that goes. So with that out of the way, we're going to go and touch on the two end credit scenes. The first one is, we pan down from the amazing end credits sequence art that is always so beautiful that Marvel does. And we pan down from the Thor Ragnarok Technicolor logo. And we see the ship, and Loki questions if it's even a good idea to go back to Earth, take me back to Earth, and he said, Thor's like, probably not, but figure it out. And I think they said something along the lines of like, the worst they think is behind us. And then a looming shadow appears over them, and they're just like looking up. And interesting, when you study their faces, when you look at Thor, he's just like, what the hell is this? But when you look at Loki's face, like, his jaw begins to drop. He knows whose ship this is, and he knows what's coming. It's Thanos. You see the ship, and the middle of the ship kind of looks like the face of a Chitauri warrior with its mask. So that was really cool. And it's Thanos' ship, and then it cuts to black, which, boom, our first real true end credit scene for Avengers Infinity War. That is awesome. I honestly would have played that last, even though I don't really feel like you could even play the last end credit scene they have first, but we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. This is just a little comedic thing with the Grandmaster. He appears out of some garbage, and all those scavengers are finding him and huddling around him, and he says, good job on the revolution, yay us, it's a tie. And it cuts to Marvel Studios logo, and that's it. And then it says Thor will return in, the first time you see it, Avengers Infinity War, which is beautiful to see. I love that. But I've made clear the last few reviews that I don't really like when the Marvel films end with a joke. I like you can have a joke end credit scene. Like, I love the one they had in Spider-Man Homecoming. It was genius. I love the one they have in Avengers. It's a classic. The shawarma scene, beautiful. But when you're waiting so long at the end of the credits, you deserve like a big reward for a true tease to the future. And I think Infinity War will do that in both end credit scenes, because honestly, you got that both with Black Panther, and we'll tackle that next week. But here, just ending on a joke, while it's funny and I like it, I don't want it to be the final thing I see before leaving the theater. I would love to have been that Thor and Loki scene on the ship. That would have been great as the end credit scene, like the very end credit scene. That being said, guys, that was pretty amazing, and it's still such a fun film. It really might be up there as one of my all-time favorites of the MCU. Maybe it'll crack my top 5, maybe not. I'll unveil that after Avengers Infinity War. But guys, next week at Monday at 1 p.m., we have Black Panther, and then I will get a review out for Avengers Infinity War as soon as I can, because when I get the Black Panther review up, that'll be the Monday before Infinity War, and it'll be a few days before it, and then I'll review Infinity War and release that by the weekend. Now, due to Black Panther not coming out on digital until May, I won't be able to, I'll be able to use trailer footage like I've been, but I won't be able to do footage for the end credit scenes for copyright reasons, so I'm going to have to use images, which I'll also have to do for Infinity War. And if there are no images out online, I'll pretty much just have to craft some cutout images of characters with transparent backgrounds and just compile my own Photoshop picture of the end credit scenes for Infinity War. So with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed my review for Thor Ragnarok, hit the like button, subscribe if not already, come back Monday for Black Panther, and that being said, hope you have a great day. May the Force be with you always.